Well, guys, my time with the 2024 Buell Hammerhead has come to an end. Today is going to be my 1 month review. Buell was nice enough to let us borrow this, and I have been riding it around and treating it as my own bike for the last month. You guys have seen the first ride, you've seen the track review that we got to do, and then I've done city riding basically other than that. And today I'm going to tell you guys what I think about the 2024 Buell Hammerhead 1190 as an owner review. Kind of. Now, if you guys are really interested in all the tech breakdown and all the info about this bike, that information will be in my first ride. I'll have a link for you in the description down below. This video is more of that, all the little nitpicky stuff that I've noticed while I've been riding this thing around. I hope you guys are excited. I cannot wait to tell you guys all about this, or the only American super sport. So, without further ado, let's get into the video. So, guys, the way I like doing my 1 month reviews is I kind of break down the bike with a pros and cons list, and I just kind of work my way through it, talking with you guys in this video. So that's how we're going to do it. And the first thing we got to talk about, the bike is called a Hammerhead. We've got these crazy cool vents here, like gills, and we have a very iconic look up front. The looks are such a pro to me. No other bike looks like this. And I really feel like it envelops the name that they gave it. And I've seen comments from you guys as well. You guys love the look of this bike. And I agree. It's super unique. It's super fun. And I love that the looks match the name. It's just little stuff like that is super freaking cool. Now, the other pro actually came in handy earlier today. So, I know you guys don't know this information, but my driveway at my house is very angled. So I parked the Buell up in my driveway, and it was angled, and I turned it on to let it warm up before I came out to do this video. Multiple times, it just shut off. And I was like, oh no, what's going on? This is not good. But because of this one feature that this bike has, I was able to figure out what was going on. So we'll turn the key, we'll let the bike crank up. Now, we'll talk about the screen later, but if we go into here, do you guys see, where is it, Diagnostic? If we click into Diagnostic, current faults, historic faults. Now, the fault's not here anymore, and I'll tell you why. But if we go to historic faults, fuel pressure system fault, right? I was able to see that it was a fuel issue, and because of that, realized that I didn't have any gas in the bike, and the bike was like dying because it didn't have gas. Basically, this happens with a lot of bikes in my driveway. If the bike is leaned over too much, the fuel is actually not getting into the fuel reservoir, and the bike thinks it's out of fuel and dies. So it's happened many times, but I always get freaked out every time it happens. But thanks to that onboard diagnostic tool, you don't need anything, and you can literally diagnose your bike, and you can go way deeper in the bike than what I just did. So that's another pro that Buell is giving you guys, the ability to just diagnose your own bikes, which I think is super freaking cool. Okay, it is too hot. I have got to get on this bike and get going, and let's get into more of the pros of the Buell Hammerhead. You guys would think that after recording videos for so many years, I would learn that when it's this hot outside, maybe I shouldn't go record videos, but I am super hard-headed. Oh, I didn't note that I got the bike filled up with gas after I left my house, which is why that code's not going to keep happening. Should have made that note. Oh, that sound. Oh, the air. Woo-hoo-hoo-wee! My goodness gracious, that air feels so good. Oh, stagnant hot air, dude, is not the move. And we've got a cloudy day. Don't worry, guys. I'm going to have my visor down as much as I can. Alrighty, guys. Next thing I want to talk about the Buell is the kind of vibe that this bike gives is a no frills, just ride experience. With motorcycles of this price class, typically they are littered with rider aids to allow you to be able to ride the motorcycle. As you guys might be able to see from the controls up here, it is very minimal here on the Buell Hammerhead. This bike, and granted, it has traction control, so it's not like it doesn't have rider modes, but there is just a distinct feel with this bike that it's just you and the motorcycle, and that allows you to have this, I don't know, deeper connection with the bike. Sometimes BMWs of the past have been kind of bad about this. They have so much rider aids, riding the bike, the experience feels very much like a video game, like you're just requesting a computer to do things. So whatever the opposite of that is what the experience is like on the Buell. I literally feel like when I ride this bike, it's me and the bike versus the world, and you know, we're just gonna struggle to keep us both alive. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know of any other way to really describe the feeling that I get on this bike, but it just feels like man and machine. It's very cool. I don't get that feeling on a ton of motorcycles, so I think that's why it stands out so much to me. My God, I can feel every vibration. I feel like the bike almost talks to you while you ride this thing. It's just vibrating and increasing as you're increasing the RPMs. Dude, this bike is an experience, and it does not let electronics get in the way of that experience, and I kind of love that. Now, next up, let's talk about performance, because at the end of the day, this is a super sport. This is made to ride hard and ride fast, and this bike is all about performance, and you can very much tell. Riding a bike like this with that twin punchy power that you can rev all the way through the rev range is strange. You know, as a guy who rides a ton of motorcycles, when I get on a bike that feels, you know, torquey and fun like this, my brain almost expects, like, all right, cool, when's it gonna die off? And you can actually rev this bike all the way through the rev range, and it feels great doing that. It's very different than like an inline four, which is what traditional super sports are. But I kind of love the feeling. It's very unique, and I'm a fan of unique. Speaking of something else that's different on this bike than what I kind of expected, anytime I ride a super sport, I tell myself, okay, Chase, remember, this motorcycle was designed to go to a racetrack, and racetrack stuff and racetrack people, they care about how fast they are and, you know, how well it can maneuver. They don't really care about comfort or, you know, creature comforts or the seat or anything like that. So looking at the seat on the Buell, I was a little worried that it was gonna be really uncomfortable, but it's kind of surprising. The seat looks uncomfortable, but I have been able to put some decent miles on this bike in one sitting, and my butt has never gotten like tired or hurt or anything like that. Now, granted, yes, you are in a very aggressive riding position. Your legs are race position. You're very tucked in when riding this motorcycle, but the seat being made out of whatever material, I really appreciate that, because once you kind of get into this position, you can kind of chill here, and it's kind of comfortable once you get perched up into here. I will say, with how much my legs are tight, it is annoying when riding in the city, because you have to like almost pick your legs up and off the rear sets. So that's not the most comfortable thing, but if you're just sitting there riding and you're just going, I think the bike is actually surprisingly comfortable, and that'll probably surprise a good bit of you guys. So while we're picking up the pace here, I want to touch on the transmission of this bike. Similar to how raw and with the motor you are, I feel like the transmission mirrors that. When you shift in this thing, and we don't have the quick shifter, which is optional, you can actually get a quick shifter on this bike when you order it. And if you do get one of these, I highly recommend the quick shifter, because that would have been really nice to have when we did our track day. But when you shift on this bike, you get such a satisfying hit into the next gear. I really appreciate that, and I feel like it matches the kind of roughness that this bike offers. It just seems to be like the vibe of this bike is like raw metal, clinging, vibration. So having a transmission that really gets into gear well like that, I really appreciate that. Next up is, and I'm saying this in all caps, if you don't want attention, do not buy this motorcycle. As we discussed earlier, the bike is very different looking. It looks different from all the other super sports, right? Well, a lot of people either thought Buell was a thing that went away, or they have never heard of a Buell. So, let me tell you, riding this thing around, you will 100% get attention. Be ready for it. I have been shocked, because I know what Buell is. I've been familiar. I've been in the motorcycle industry for a while. I know. But I'm riding this bike around. I will park this bike to really expensive European motorcycles that look phenomenal, that are pristine, and I have people walk straight past these like absolute top-notch motorcycles, and they come over to the Buell and they ask me, bro, what is that? And which is always cool, because then I get to start having a conversation with people about what the bike is, and then inevitably like, oh, well, how the hell do you have that? And so on and so forth. It's always a fun convo. But I have been shocked at how much attention this bike gets. I didn't expect it, because the bike's white with a little bit of carbon. So color-wise, there's nothing crazy going on. But man, people notice the absolute shit out of this bike. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about is something that when I first got the bike, I didn't really care about, if I'm going to be 100% honest. And that's the whole American-made motorcycle. Like I said in the beginning, this is, from what I understand, the only motorcycle that is built in America. So this is the only American super sport. And, I mean, you guys have probably seen in my videos, I've probably said it before. Personally, I don't really care where a bike is made from. I don't care if it's America or Japanese or Chinese or wherever the hell, right? But one of the things that I've noticed that I've come to appreciate while riding this bike is that there is a little bit to the whole American-made thing. I've noticed when I look at the bike and I'm riding around and I'm thinking about it, I'm like, it is kind of cool that this is the only one. This is the only company doing stuff in America with super sports, and there is some kind of pride that comes up. I don't really know how to explain it, especially being a guy that doesn't really care, so I don't really understand why I feel like that. But there's a level of pride I have riding this thing around the streets of America. It's hard to explain. It doesn't really make sense, but it's definitely there. I do know a lot of you guys in the comments from the videos that we've made of the Buell so far have made it very clear that that is a huge deal to you, the whole like made in America thing. So if that is a big thing for you, awesome. If it's not, I would be interested if anybody in the comments has a Buell. Does that matter to you? So kind of interested to see that. You guys let me know in the comments if you own a Buell and you know what I'm talking about. Like, American made doesn't really matter that much to you, but then you get your motorcycle, you ride it around. Do you notice that you have a little bit of pride in the bike? I'd be curious to find out. Oh my God, the exhaust, dude. If I understand correctly, this exhaust is an add-on when you order the bike. And if you have the option, get this exhaust, because, bro, it sounds so good. This bike it almost feels like a bike that's not legal to be on the road, but somehow you got a license plate for it. That's how I feel about this. It's like I snuck a license plate onto a race bike, and I somehow get to ride it around the road. My God, that noise, dude. Oh, that'll get you excited. Alrighty, guys, we need to talk about some of the cons of the bike because it is not perfect. No bike is. And we got to discuss some of those. Alright, guys, first con we got to talk about is very high on the list for me right now. And that is how hot this bike gets. As long as you're got a little bit of airflow, it's not too bad. But if you're riding this bike around an area where you're going to get a lot of red lights, the bike puts off hella heat. And in a time where it's, you know, in Georgia right now, every day is about 95 with 100% humidity. So it feels like about 110 outside every day. So it's already super hot out here. When I get red lights on this bike, dude, heat just shoots out of every orifice of this motorcycle. Literally, even onto my throttle hand, like somehow it comes out from down there. I don't understand it. Even right now, just kind of chilling, I've got a ton of heat going straight to my legs. So just keep that in mind. This bike does run quite hot. I would say it's about, if Panigale is at a 10, this bike is definitely like a 7.5 to a 9, depending on the environment. So keep that in mind, stuff to note. Now, as per usual with my 1 month reviews, there are pros and cons, and sometimes the cons are pros and pros are cons, and I swap them back and forth. But my next con is the lack of technology does make the bike feel a little old. That screen is fine. It's super fine. It's got colors. It does its job well. It's a little tiny. It's a little hard to see. And none of that screen stuff has really mattered to me while I've ridden the bike because, like I said, I do appreciate the kind of rawness that this bike feels like. But in 2024, we've got some really sick motorcycles with a really nice screen. And honestly, I think if Buell just updated the screen maybe, that would help it feel more like a 2024 bike. And the other thing I hate about that screen is it's tucked in there so far. To get to those buttons to adjust anything, hey, brake check. Ooh. That rear started wiggling. So with the screen, to get my hand in there, my hand can barely fit into here, and I don't have a large hand. So it is hard to get to that screen. I would love them to maybe, you know, invest in the research to get us a nicer screen, use the entire size of that, and then give us a button over here. Because the controls do also seem a little old. So I guess maybe my comment is that I want a bigger screen and I want the controls to be here and updated a little bit. I guess that would be my main gripe for that situation. And I'm not necessarily saying I need more rider aids. I'm just saying I want better controls and a better screen. That's that. Next up is the price. The Buell is American made, and that typically means it's going to be more expensive, and it definitely is. The Buell starts out, I believe this model at 19 something, like 19.2, which is definitely not cheap. That with that pricing, this motorcycle is technically competing with all of the European models. It's actually more expensive than an Aprilia RSV4. An RSV4, you can, I believe the starting price on the website is like 18.8 or 18.9. So the Buell's actually a little more expensive than that. And I think you can spec the Buell out to 25. So the price is high up there, especially considering there's Japanese models that are in the 16s and the 18s that have way more tech and have way more availability. So I think that's one of the hurdles, but it's kind of hard to fight that because Buell is a much smaller company than those companies. So it's kind of hard. Small companies aren't able to offer things as cheap as bigger companies that sell more. So it sucks that they're priced what they are, and that's probably why there's this kind of exclusivity to Buells. We don't see a lot of them because, I don't know, you know, when you try to put price for performance, you're definitely getting a better deal with Japanese motorcycles. There's no doubt. But, you know, that's what I think, that's why I kind of lean into with the Buells, this raw feeling, because I don't get that on a lot of the Japanese bikes. They are precise, they are incredible machines, but I don't think they have as much soul as something like this. You know, some of you guys might not be one of those people that like believes in like bikes and they have souls and they talk to you and stuff. But I can tell you, as a guy that's ridden a lot of bikes for a long time, I definitely feel like bikes talk to you. They have a soul. You can kind of feel them out. And the uniqueness of a Buell, I do feel like is worth that price that you have to pay for it. Final thing I want to talk about with the Buell, and that's availability. So one of the things that does suck about these bikes is that they are a smaller bike brand, and you're probably not going to have a ton of dealerships around you that are carrying Buells. Matter of fact, the purchase process for a Buell is, I think, entirely on the web. I'll put the information on the screen if I'm incorrect, but I'm pretty sure that if you want a Buell, you have to put in a $50 deposit, and then a sales rep calls you. You go over what modifications and color and everything you want, and then your bike starts getting built. You know, you have to go through this little online process, and I don't know, it could be a pro or a con. It's a con in the way that, you know, Joe Schmo can't just go down to his local Buell dealership, sit on the Buell, look at it in person, and see if he really likes it, and then make a purchase decision. He has to do everything online. But the pro of that process is that I would have to imagine, now I haven't personally gone through that process, so I can't speak 100% to this, but I would have to imagine that going through that process would probably make you feel, as the owner, pretty special, because you get to go through this like personalized purchase process where you're picking out literally everything you want on your bike, and then your bike gets made. It's like made to order motorcycles, which is kind of neat. So, you know, I'm going to assume that Buell has that process down, and that it's a really fun process to go through and build your bike out how you want it. So you guys can let me know, is that a pro? Is that a con? I don't really know. It's kind of up to you to decide. But overall, guys, throughout the month that I've had this bike, I have really appreciated the ride more than anything. In a world where all the bikes I'm riding are just very precise and very specific and do a great job at what they do, it has been really fun that I've noticed to have a motorcycle that is less refined and a little hard around the edges. It gives it so much character, and I have really appreciated that during the time I've had it. I loved getting to take this thing to the track and really getting to see what it's capable of. If you guys want to see all the Buell content, we'll have links in the description down below. Overall, I have really enjoyed this bike, and if you're into super sports and you're looking for something unique and fun that a lot of people don't have, this is probably the bike for you. I've had a great time, and hopefully I'll get to test more Buells in the future. They seem to be pretty happy with the content we're making, so hopefully that means that we'll have a better relationship and we can start bringing you guys more Buell content. Overall, though, let me know what you guys think about the Buell Hammerhead in the comments down below. Have you been following along with all the content? And do you think this is a style bike for you, or is it something else? I would love to see what you guys think about in the comments down below. And when you comment down there, if you're at this point in the video, you made it to the outro crew, which just means you saw the whole video. I really appreciate you guys watching the whole video. It really promotes us over on YouTube, and it really makes the videos and the channel what it is. Without you guys, we would be literally nothing. So thank you guys for watching the video. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you want more motorcycle content. And guys, I'm Chaseontwowheels. This has been the 1 month review of the 2024 Buell Hammerhead. You guys go out there and ride safe, and I'll see you on the next one. Later, guys. It's gonna be sad to send this one back, man. It really is. Also, thank you, Buell. I appreciate it. I can't wait to ride more of your bikes. Okay, bye.